Hello, hello, what's going on? It's Junaid here on the live stream, and today I'm going to be talking about how nobody taught us this. So, what is this? Here we go. Let's check it out. This is funny. This is really funny. The cool part is nobody handed me a manual on how money works because when you're the one running the business, I learned receivables from a late invoice that nearly broke a client relationship. I learned cash flow from a month where I paid everyone but myself. Who here who here does that? You paid everybody but yourself. Nobody taught us this in school. Not how to sell, not how to read a financial statement, not how to turn what you know into income. Not how money actually works when you're the one running the thing. I remember sitting at my desk one night, staring at a spreadsheet that didn't balance, realizing I had no framework for what I was looking at. I had a degree, I had years of client work. Hey, this is not even my script. What? I think this is somebody talking to me. This was a guest on my show. This is his story. He had years of client work behind him, and he didn't know what a receivable aging report was supposed to tell me until it was already telling me something I didn't want to hear. We figured it out sideways. Through jobs that paid too little, clients who paid late, and conversations we had to have before we were ready to have them. See, the first conversation that started to change how I thought about all of this was with Chris Baden. He said something that rewired how I approached every sales conversations after. He said, if you ask more questions and listen more, people will give you all the answers. They'll tell you why they want to buy. They'll tell you what they want. And that's it. That's the whole sales system. Now, most people approach a sales conversation trying to figure out what to say. The entire job, it turns out, is figuring out what to ask and then being quiet long enough to hear the answer. And that's the hard part. Because who wants to be quiet enough to hear the answer? See, the prospect will close themselves. Your job is to not get in the way. I had spent years writing pitch decks, polishing scripts, rehearsing my answers. Chris was telling me I'd been preparing for the wrong half of the conversation the whole time. Because here's the thing. People know exactly what they want. We have tons of people waiting in line to get into Costco. I just went to Costco the other day, and there's a guy waiting outside. I'm like, why aren't you going in? He's like, oh, I'm not an executive member, so I can't go in before 10 o'clock. I was like, wow. I scanned my card, walked in. People love to buy. How many of you have received packages from Amazon? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Right? If you have received packages, so it's not that people don't like to buy stuff. It's that we don't have to force them to buy stuff. We just need to show them the way. My good friend Chris Williams' reframe was the next thing that I started to shift something. I think about it every time I talk to someone who's stuck on what to offer. He said, you've cracked some code in your life that other people would pay to learn. And you don't see it because it feels obvious to you. Pressing this button and switching the camera, it's obvious to me that this is what I know how to do, but most people don't. For someone who doesn't have it figured out, you're 1,000 steps ahead. You're 1,000 for the rest of us. So teach us how to do it. And all of you watching this video are probably 1,000 steps in front of a ton of other people who would love to be in your shoes. I had a guest on my show, and he was like, we're always, if you take a ruler that has 12 points, 12 inches, you're always on number 6, staring at the number 12. Who's on number 12? And there's somebody always on number 1 looking at you because you are their number 12. See, the expertise you're sitting on right now, the thing you learned the hard way, the system you built out of frustration, that's a business. And you're just not packaging it as one yet. This is the thing nobody told me either. The hard-won knowledge sitting in my head was already an asset, and I was treating it like trivia. Who here treats their hard-won knowledge as trivia in their heads? Put a number 1 in the comments. Christy Reichert's story landed against that same blind spot from a different direction. She grew her company to $3.5 million in 2 years. Now that's something. But she started because she saw an opportunity that the people around her didn't see. Instead of taking their indifference as a signal to stop, she took it as a signal to go. That's the feeling that I had almost 10 years ago. I had an idea, and I saw somebody else implement that exact same idea, maybe a little iteration of it, and that made me stop and pause. Like, wait, if somebody's already doing it, why would anybody take what I've got going on building? But that was the exact signal that tells you that you need to go and create this thing, because people are already raising money for that exact same idea. She said that she felt like the crazy one because she was so passionate while everyone else shrugged. 2 years later, $3.5 million. When the people around you can't see what you see, that's not a reason to doubt yourself. That's evidence you're looking at something real. That's evidence you're looking at something absolutely real. Now, I'd let other people's indifference talk me out of things before, and Christy was making the case that indifference is a green light, not a red one. See, not everybody's at your level or has come this far to be able to come up with ideas that you have. And when they tell you that it's never going to work, it's because they've never tried something like that before. My good friend Sarah Kaplan was the conversation I needed early in my career and didn't have. She's a certified financial planner, and she's been on the Forbes list of top financial advisors. And the advice she gave me on the podcast was not complicated. Track 2 numbers. That's it. What you earn and what you spend, what you own and what you owe. So what you earn and what you spend, what you own and what you owe. Income minus expenses, net worth, and then review them regularly. Everything else in personal finance flows from knowing those 2 numbers accurately. And most people don't know either one. They don't look because it feels scary, but the fear of looking is always worse than what you find when you look. The month I paid everyone but myself happened because I wasn't tracking the second number, the one that includes me in the math. My good friend Andy Wong points hit a different layer of the same problem. He said most people don't talk about money enough, not at home, not with their kids, not with their partners, because we treat it like a taboo and then wonder why we feel anxious about it. See, familiarity is the antidote. When money becomes a regular conversation, dinner table, car rides, wherever, the anxiety that keeps people stuck starts to dissolve. And you can't manage what you refuse to look at. I grew up in a house where money wasn't discussed. Then I built a business where I avoided the same conversation with myself. Same pattern, different room. A guest on my show, Edwin Carrion, calls himself a God-made millionaire. Not because he's been lucky, because he traces everything back to the foundation that wasn't financial. It was relational, spiritual, about honoring his mother's sacrifice. The money came as a byproduct of building something that mattered. He said, I'm not where I am because of myself. The most durable motivation isn't the revenue target. It's the person whose sacrifice you're trying to honor. The people you're trying to take care of. The problem you can't stop thinking about solving. That kind of motivation doesn't run out of things. That kind of motivation doesn't run out of... That kind of motivation doesn't run out when things get hard. And when I think about the months I almost quit, this is the thing that kept me at the desk. Not a number, but a reason that lived outside the spreadsheet. Martelli Adeka closed the loop on all of it for me. He said something simple that I keep coming back to. Take some action. If you find the education you're looking for, take some action towards bringing that education to reality. And make a plan. See, we're living in the golden age of financial education. We have podcasts, we have books, courses, advisors, YouTube, more information than any generation before us had ever access to. And now we have AI. And most people are not better off financially than their parents, because education without action is still just education. The plan has to go somewhere. That was the whole pattern of my early years, consuming information about money instead of moving any of it, reading about cash flow instead of building a system to track mine. I think about what would have been different if I'd heard any of this in year one. The late invoice, the month I didn't pay myself, the conversation I avoided because I didn't have the vocabulary for them yet. What I actually did once I started learning was the unglamorous version of all of it. Attracted to numbers, I had the uncomfortable conversation. I asked more and pitched less. I made a plan and I moved on the plan. Nobody taught us this, but it's all learnable. The sales conversation, the financial basics, how to see opportunities, how to build a system, how to find the motivation that lasts. That's 500 conversations in. The through line is always the same. The people who figured it out didn't have access to special information. They just acted on what they learned. So if you want to hear more of these conversations in full, Hacks and Hobbies is 500 episodes deep. Actually, 700 now. New ones every week. Subscribe wherever you listen. The link's in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I recorded another one. Now, somebody's commenting here about Joshua is cute. Joshua is the creator. Joshua is here. We love you, dear Joshua. Y'all tell me who is Joshua. Why am I starting to see this new word, Joshua? meaning. So Joshua is that Isa? And how did it become? Wow, internet is slow. The name Yeshua is a Hebrew name that means salvation, deliverance, or the Lord of salvation. The original Hebrew and Aramaic name of Jesus. A closer look at the name roots reveals its meaning, a shortened form of Yahweh, the personal name of God in the Old Testament. The connection to Joshua is a shortened version of the longer Hebrew name, which shares the exact same meaning. Origin of Jesus, when the Hebrew name Yeshua, translated into Greek, became interesting. That's cool. Anyways, I've been recording some videos over the past few days. Actually, I haven't been recording videos in the past 2 days. I've just been working on the app and getting ready to launch, running some tests, and it's been a lot of fun. Anyways, hope y'all are having an amazing day. If you want to learn more about the podcast, head on over to hacksandhobbies.com, and I'll see you in the next one. I think I'm going to take a nap or drink some water. Wait, I do need to go pray. All right. Thanks, all. See you later.